Canto 2, Chapter 8. The chapter is called Questions by King Parikshit. Text 23. Yohatma tantro bhagavan vikridati atma mayaya vishijaya yathamayam udaste shakshvi pat vibhu yatha as atma tantraha independent. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Vikridati, enjoys his pastimes. Atma Mayaya, by his internal potency. Vishidya, giving up. Va, as also. Yatha, as he desires. Mayam, the external potency. Udaste, remains. Shakshivat, just as the witness. Vibhuhu, the Almighty. Translation. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. Please repeat. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the fountainhead of all other incarnations, is the only independent person. He enjoys his pastimes by creation as he desires, and gives them up to the external energy at the time of annihilation. By his internal potency only, he kills the demon Putana, even though enjoying his pastimes in the lap of his mother Yashoda. And when he desires to leave this world, he creates the pastimes of killing his own family members, Yadukula, and remains unaffected by such annihilation. He is the witness of everything that is happening, yet he has nothing to do with anything. He is independent in every respect. Maharaj Parikshit desired to know more perfectly, for a pure devotee ought to know well. Repeat the verse again. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. So it's a very the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, so it gradually leads up to a higher understanding of spiritual realization and knowledge. Chaitanya, could you just fix this properly? Because fix it. So, a great devotee, a saintly Raja Rishi, Parikshit Maharaj, he was given a notice 7 days notice of his leaving this world, leaving this body. Therefore, he had crucial, extremely important questions to clarify. Number one, he approached a qualified person. Sukadeva Goswami, who was an empowered personality, a great personality, a Shakyaveta avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was a son of Vyasa. Parikshit Maharaj was perplexed. We can imagine if we get 7 days notice that we're going to die, what kind of emotions and feelings and questions would arise in our hearts? A lot of these things go through our minds. It's a feeling of despair or lamentation or hankering or feeling of regret, what I've done, I offended so many people, I caused so much suffering to others, and I'm facing the greatest perplexity of life, the greatest challenge of life, the departure of this physical existence, this bodily conception of life. So Parikshit Maharaj had these very deep emotions. His emotions were charged with spiritual inquiry. He was not an ordinary person, as we can see. He was a great personality himself, Raja Rishi, a saintly king, a great devotee. Parikshit Maharaj questioning not just for himself but for others also, just like Arjuna did. Arjuna also questioned Krishna. Just before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was perplexed. What is to be done and what is not to be done? Of course, at some point we all need a superior guidance to clarify things for us, to make it very clear which way we're going. So Parikshit Maharaj wanted to know, and he deserved to know, ought to know well, because he was a great soul himself. And Sukadeva Goswami, who was a highly qualified teacher, a spiritual master, by his grace, by his mercy, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a summary study of all Vedic conclusions, Vedanta Sutra. So the very essential teachings of Vedic knowledge. Sometimes we get these questions, how to approach the Vedic knowledge, Vedic literatures. There's so many books out there, so many Puranas and so many information. How to read these books, how to understand this vast transcendental knowledge, so extensive. Hundreds and hundreds of volumes of Puranas, chapters. They all describe different aspects of mundane reality, karma, moksha, economical development, material benefits, and they're not always very clear about the actual essential teachings of the Vedas. Therefore, Bhagavad Purana, which is the supreme Purana, makes it very clear for us. Therefore, Narada Muni was advised by Vyasa. And Narada Muni, the spiritual master Vyasa, also advised him to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. These are very essential teachings. people may study Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, but unless they have a superior guidance, they can get lost in it. They don't get the essential teachings. So Srimad Bhagavatam is spearheading towards the ultimate conclusion, is the ultimate answer for all questions, relevant questions about life, the purpose of life, what to do about it. So these questions had to be clarified. So Parikshit Maharaj questioning systematically, step by step, about the personality of Godhead, about his pastimes, his adventure, his energies, his devotees, the living entities, about life itself, why there are so much tribulations in this world, how to counteract these things, and how to face death. Basically, these are very important questions, and Krishna himself clarifies that in the Bhagavad Gita to make it very clear to us that we are the eternal souls and eternal fragmental parts of the Supreme Divine, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And our true purpose in this life is to re-establish our lost relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engage in loving devotional service, and perfect our lives, perfect our yoga, perfect our relationship with Krishna. And that loving devotion gives a meaningful life to all the seekers, all the devotees of Krishna. Life is not meaningless, there's a meaning here, there's a purpose. Therefore, human civilization begins with this inquiry. And Parikshit Maharaj, an ideal human being, a great Raja Rishi, a great saintly personality, questioning this, even just for his own benefit, because he had 7 days. There's a beautiful story behind, and also a very instructive story behind, that he was cursed by the son of a great rishi. There's a very beautiful story behind, but there's also Krishna's plan. Krishna has a plan. So Srimad Bhagavatam could be manifesting, spoken, inquiry was there. So we can see, and as we study as students of Vaishnava teachings, we understand the mood and the intensity of these questions. It is difficult for us to fully comprehend, because although there's a great possibility that we can also die within 7 days, or even earlier, we are much more perplexed in that sense, because we don't even know. At least he had 7 days notice. We don't even know. Nevertheless, the questions are very intense, because we need to know these things. All of us. Time is coming, we are aging, and it's not guaranteed how we're going to live our rest of our lives. Therefore, these questions have to be cleared and answered. And individually and collectively, we should seek these answers. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam, a systematic study of Srimad Bhagavatam, gives all the answers. Prepares the student, prepares the devotee for the ultimate objective, the ultimate goal of life, which is understanding our true position and re-establish our loving devotion to Krishna. In that way, we are eligible to return back to our original state. Every living entity has a Nitya Swarupa, an original position in Krishna's abode, and where Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita also, there is no material miseries, birth, disease, old age and death. In this material world, these are the major stumbling blocks. All our plans eventually be baffled. Anything seen in the material world, established by great effort and endeavor and hard work, will be baffled at the end. Old age and death waits for no man. It's undeniable and unavoidable. These are major problems in this world. Therefore, a devotee, a sincere seeker, who's seeking the absolute truth, analyzes things scientifically, rationally, and logically. What is to be done and how to understand these things. It is simple but also difficult because we are perplexed in the material world. We are challenged in so many ways. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, asking the position of Krishna, who Krishna is and why he is so mystical in the eyes of non-believers, who he is. Of course, so much to say who he is. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Difficult for us to even comprehend whatever we need to comprehend, because the spiritual master gives us guidelines and clarity. But God is unlimited phenomena. No one can fully understand his position. We can understand him through the Shastras, seeing through the eyes of the Shastras, through the eyes of the spiritual teachings. And then we can somehow or other have an idea, have some faith in this process. Krishna consciousness is not just a scriptural reference. It is actually an experience. It is a scientific process. It is a spiritual realization. And once we live our lives in that consciousness, in that devotion, we'll have that experience. We have that joy and happiness and inspiration. Because when we connect to Krishna, to the source of everything, gradually we'll feel very pure devotion to Krishna, which is a gradual process, of course. So in this particular verse, Sukadeva Goswami explains the independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. So Lord Sri Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. He is completely transcendental to this material world. He does so many things that the living entities cannot fully comprehend. But he has a plan. And he's a person. And often he comes and plays as a human, so we can relate to him. God is extraordinary. We cannot fully comprehend his pastimes and his emotions and feelings. We can understand that he has a personal pastimes and desires and enjoyment. He obviously comes for enjoying a relation in his own mellows and devotion to, for example, Radharani, his devotees, Govardhan, beautiful pastimes. And these are very elevated topics. There's a philosophy behind it, how to reach this pure devotional state. pure devotional feelings. Gradually we can understand that God is not limited to a human bodily conception of life. His potencies are unlimited. He can do whatever he likes. He can go anywhere he likes. He can go to any universe, anytime. He's not limited by 3 dimensions, any dimension, by the way. He's above all these things. But if you talk dimensions, he's coming from higher dimension. And the living entities, the jivas, also descending from a higher dimension. Therefore, we are limited and restricted by the 3-dimensional bodily conception of life. Everything in physical reality takes up this dimension, you can see. And in the material world, we have limitations to express our individual nature, which is to serve Krishna. Therefore, Krishna comes personally to remind us, to enlighten us. He sends his great devotees, the great Mahajanas teaching us. And even in Mahabharata, Bhishmadev, the great grandsire, great Mahajana, they're teaching us, reminding us very authoritatively about the supremacy and the supreme enjoyer, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, the original Father and well-wisher of all living entities. He's the best friend of all living entities. He's a true original Father of all living entities. And of course, Krishna, like I said, is not a limited person. He can expand himself unlimitedly. He's got many avatars for a particular purpose. Lila avatar, Yuga avatar, all these avatars, they come for a particular purpose, for a particular mission. The world needs the Lord to be awakened, to be enlightened. We in a world of darkness, in the material world, is a limiting situation, the bodily existence, the bodily conception of life. Therefore, Krishna comes in so many ways, and he does his pastimes, and is not affected by the material world. He is not affected by the 3 modes of material nature: ignorance, passion, goodness. These are the bounding forces in this material world we call gunas. The material nature is not controlling the Supreme. Rather, the Supreme controls nature, material nature. His prakriti, his energies, he is controlling them. Therefore, he is Ishvaraha, Paramaha, Krishnaha, Sat Chet Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govindaha, Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes, Sarva Kara Karanam. And Ishvaraha, Supreme Controller, Supreme. Srila Prabhupada selected these words, Supreme Personality of Godhead, so correctly. He was meditating on these words to make it very clear. There's a lot of emphasis who Krishna is. Krishna is not just one of those gods out of... No, he's a Godhead, the chief God, the supreme. Not only that, he says Supreme Personality, which is very, very important to understand these things. Before you even go any further, we have to understand who Krishna is. And then we can build our devotion gradually, bit by bit, step by step. So Krishna comes in this world, he performs his pastimes, and he has a plan. Obviously, his mission is to not only enjoy his own rasas and relationship with his own personal entourage and dear devotees who coming from Nitya Lila, and the original personalities, the gopis, Vrindavan, Vraja Lila, Vraja Mandal, beautiful pastimes of Krishna, the divine pastimes of Krishna. So, but also to enlighten and help the fallen conditioned souls. Because ultimately we all dear to Krishna, because we all eternal parts and parcels. So Krishna comes and enlightens us. He speaks the Bhagavad Gita many times. Even before Arjuna, he spoke to Vivasvan, and even before different kalpas, it comes once in the day of Brahma, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes after that. We are very fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this yuga, and he established a means, a very powerful process. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Yagna. So whether we are scholarly inclined, whether we are studious, whether we study the Vedas or not, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us a very powerful, very effective, very simple formula, which is the chanting of the holy names of Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And like I said earlier, whoever we are, wherever, whatever platform we are, even if you're very new to spiritual life, the holy names of Krishna is very kind to all of us. If we chant regularly from the heart, sincerity, attention, Krishna actually reveals himself, gives us an experience. God's name is all blissful, Sat Chit Ananda, transcendental. Krishna's name and himself non-different. So when we chant the holy names, Krishna is allowing us to come to him. He's our supreme friend. He makes it easier for us. In this age, very difficult to do anything else regarding yoga processes. In previous yugas, Trecha Yuga, they did archana, great worships, sacrifices. Dwapara Yuga was the temple worship, archana. And Satya Yuga, great tapasya, Vishwamitra Muni, meditative. The mode of goodness was very prominent. But in Kali Yuga, most of us are completely deluded by the material energy, very fallen condition. Mode of goodness is very much reduced. The materialistic mindset, godlessness, impersonalism, taking over the whole world. You can see the whole world is gliding towards a very inauspicious destination. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ultimate loving manifestation of Krishna. He is Radha and Krishna combined. He is the most magnanimous, most loving manifestation of Krishna. He is directly Krishna himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is taking the golden complexion. He is giving us so much. He is giving us a very powerful, simple formula, and anyone can do it. Therefore, Mahaprabhu is very kind to us. Shri Nityananda Prabhu and Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very kind to us. We should not miss this opportunity. Human form of life is very rare, and we have to take advantage of this opportunity. We can understand these things, we can take shelter of Krishna, we can develop ourselves. At the same time, we feel great relief and happiness and joy. If we do it correctly, if we follow the guidelines of our spiritual masters, then spiritual life actually is a very beautiful experience. It's not just a theoretical knowledge. It is actually an experience, a very beautiful experience. And when we actually serve Krishna and his devotees, we feel those emotions, we feel the love. Just like with devotees dressing the deities, they feel those emotions. How can I make Krishna so beautiful? Put nice garlands, decorate them nicely, very appealing to our hearts, just by seeing Krishna, his beautiful form. And of course, Krishna is allowing this to happen because he's teaching us how to love him. We learn the art of devotion, the art of loving him. We feel those emotions. We want to please Krishna. We want to give him pleasure. So when we chant the holy names of Krishna, Krishna actually feels pleasure. Because after millions of lifetimes wandering in this material world, some or other came to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in Kaviraj Goswami mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita a very beautiful purport that anyone who chants the holy names of Krishna even just once in his whole life, he is the best among thousands of living entities. Because that person who uttered the holy names of Krishna, he experienced so many things in their past lives. They studied the Vedas, they went through tapasya, they were all different aspects. They were anything. They went through all the evolution of, bodily conception. And they came to this existence of human form of life and uttering the holy names of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, not to speak of those devotees who are serious, who are taking it up and patiently, determinedly practice on a daily basis, giving their hearts to Krishna, the devotion, being tolerant and patient. And even amongst those devotees, to find someone very, very pure, we take shelter of. See, Srila Prabhupada is obviously Mahabhagavata Acharya, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada is a grandfather for most of us, a grand spiritual master. And we are eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada. His books, his teachings, he's patiently teaching his disciples, beautiful commentaries. Even ordinary persons can understand things. And then we come to the point of intensity. We want to know the answers. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, questioning intensively. I've got only 7 days to live. So I want to know everything about God, Krishna, and the purpose of life. And what is the solution? What can I do? Where I'm going? And who Krishna is? And this whole phenomena of material world. So Sukadeva Goswami, who was a spiritual master of Parikshit Maharaj, explains it very nicely, systematically, in this whole chapter. And the next chapter, answering his questions. And the whole Bhagavatam is questions and answers. And we gradually proceed up and up to the 9th canto, the 10th canto, where we actually come to the ultimate taste, the ultimate rasa, the ultimate experience of devotional service. To come to the point of Vraja Lila, Vraja Mandal, the beautiful pastimes of Krishna, requires a very pure heart. We cannot artificially, superficially jump to a higher realm of self-realization or understanding. We have to go gradually. And this is when the mercy required. We need the mercy of Guru and Gauranga and the Vaishnavas. We seek the blessings of the devotees on a daily basis. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaevacha aditana padanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. So we always seek the blessings of the devotees. So this is the nature of a devotee, because we need all the blessings, all the mercy of devotees of Krishna, and at the same time we study the scriptures, the references, the beautiful pastimes, and we apply it in our own lives. This is when the actual experience will come. You actually come to your own conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is not just a mythological figure or some religious figure or a God figure. He is actually the Supreme Personality. Not only that, he is the most loving Father of all living entities. He truly our friend, and Krishna is there for you. But we have to develop that understanding and faith. We have to understand these things. And so we need to inquire. And when the inquiry comes, this is when we approach a guru, a teacher, accomplished teacher. And the teacher clarifies. That's why you can see that not only the Bhagavatam, but even Krishna and Arjuna, not to speak of the Puranas, Skanda Purana, Padma Purana. Srila Prabhupada often quoted Padma Purana. There's always questions and answers. Great devotees, great teachers, disciples, always inquiry. Because we need the help of a superior person, a superior master who's guiding us, clarifying things to us. And this is when we get the understanding and we can make confident steps in spiritual life, which is really for our own personal benefit and the satisfaction of Krishna. So this beautiful little purport here, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He comes to this material world, he performs his pastimes, but is never affected by it. And when he leaves this world, when he departs from this world, he leaves everything up to the external energy. So everything is planned out for him. He is not subjected to rules and regulations like we are, or laws of nature. He is above all these things. He is the controller of nature. So he is not affected by this. And therefore Krishna has nothing to do actually. He is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, the supreme friend. So he has his designated servants, great personalities in the universe, great devas, great administration, who carry on the management of this whole material manifestation. Krishna doesn't have to be here always. He comes out of his sweet will, enjoy his own pastimes, his own mood and rasas, and also to help us. So these are two major reasons Krishna actually comes: to enlighten us, help us, reveal the Shastras, the scriptures, and also to help us and to enjoy his own divine pastimes, beautiful pastimes, which is again another level. But we have to be ready for it. We have to be humbly, patiently serve the Vaishnavas, inquire, take shelter of advanced devotees, and then that way we also gradually come up and become very not only inspired but actually extremely enthusiastic, extremely blissful that we have such a value, such a tangible knowledge, such a priceless gift by Lord Shri Krishna, by Srila Prabhupada. So this is very beautiful way of life, Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Are there any quick questions? better to have prasad. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.